Thank you so much for being here today. We're talking about 11 silver coins to avoid. You know, investing in silver coins can be a smart way to diversify your portfolio, but not all coins are created equal. So if you want to learn more, stay tuned.
To avoid repeating last night's debacle, I was obliged to collect more sufficient data.
Welcome back to the channel, y'all. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Nose for Silver. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just someone who loves collecting and stacking silver for my own investment pleasure. I believe there are 11 coins that you really want to stay away from if you are into stacking or even collecting silver. So let's go ahead and roll into the list, starting with number 11. And that is the Jefferson War Nickel. These were made from 1942 to 1945, and they only contain 35% silver. So the reason to avoid it is because the silver content's so low, making it really inefficient for stacking silver because of the room it takes up to the percentage of silver that it contains. You can get one for around $250, which, you know, very cheap way into collecting silver. The only issue is you're not going to get a lot of it. But one of the reasons why some people get them are because the historical tie that it has to World War II, it adds nostalgia. It makes it an appeal for history buffs. And like I said, it can be considered an entry-level collectible. I say stay away from them. Number 10 is the 40% silver Kennedy half dollar. These were made from 1965 to 1970, and a lot of us are familiar with the regular Kennedy half dollar that is composed of 90% silver. The premium doesn't justify the lower purity, and they're often overlooked in favor of the higher content alternative, just because if you can get a 90% silver Kennedy half dollar, then why wouldn't you go for that? These ones will approximately cost you $6, but you know, again, not really worth it if you can go ahead and get one made of 90% silver. But people, again, collect them as a piece of mid-20th century American history. It can hold sentimental value to the Kennedy era. That's cool and all, but go ahead and get the 90% one if you're interested in a Kennedy half dollar. Number 9 is the Chinese silver Panda. This is an annual bullion coin from the People's Bank of China, and it changes in design every year. The reason to avoid it is that it's only 30 grams, which is under a troy ounce. They have high premiums, and they're honestly harder to liquidate here in America because there's less of an audience collecting Chinese coins. They cost about $45 to $50 for brilliant uncirculated. That is a good premium. So, you know, you might want to start somewhere else if you're collecting silver and especially stacking silver. Number 8 is a 2025 American Silver Eagle, the flagship U.S. silver bullion coin. It was minted in the United States, obviously, and it carries one of the highest premiums in the bullion market, often $5 to $10 over spot, essentially turning it into a semi-collectible rather than just a cost-effective way to acquire silver. So for stacking, generic rounds or bars are often a better value per ounce. The reason why people like to buy this, though, is because it's backed by the U.S. government with legal tender status, and it offers high recognition and high liquidity, appealing to those who value the trust and resale ease. Next up at number 7 is the Morgan Silver Dollar. This might sound like a controversy to a lot of people because the Morgan Silver Dollar is highly beloved by almost every silver collector. It's named after George T. Morgan, the designer, and they were minted from 1878 to 1904, and then once again in 1921. The common dates have numismatic premiums that don't always hold up, and they're often overhyped for their 90% silver content. So if you're not chasing the rare varieties of this coin, you're probably better off going with standard junk silver than a Morgan Silver Dollar. The classic design and the Wild West era of history make it a staple for a lot of numismatists. Number 6, like the Morgan dollar, is the Peace Silver Dollar. Again, this was designed to commemorate peace after World War I, minted from 1921 to 1935. And like Morgan's, the common dates carry unnecessary premiums for the 90% silver. And liquidity can be spotty if not in high grade. Better options exist for pure silver accumulation without the collectible markup. You can get one of these for around $33. And, people like it because it's supposed to symbolize peace. It has an Art Deco design. And again, that early 20th century vibe. The number 5 coin I would definitely avoid is the graded American Silver Eagle MS-70 from 2025. If you don't know, MS-70 is the highest rated a coin can be, meaning it's basically in perfect condition, and it's either certified by a service like NGC or PCGS. I say avoid this because the massive premium for the perfect MS-70 grade condition, the slab fees are really what you're paying for. The silver can tone over time, which could risk the devaluation of it even though it's graded currently as an MS-70. It's really overkill for investors who are not obsessed with condition. You'll find these for about $65 in the MS-70 version. Number 4, and interesting enough, a lot of controversy about this one, is the Mexican Silver Libertad from 2025, which has been just released. The 2025 edition is said to have an extremely low mintage of just 300 for the 1-ounce version. Now, that seems ridiculous, but it has been on eBay driving premium sky high, making it way more of a rarity than a practical investment. Liquidity is poor because you've got to be a serious investor to, pay up for that fee. And I've seen them go on eBay for well over $1,000, and they're even hard to find on eBay. And the risk that it could be forged or faked would make me very worried as well. The reason why someone would buy this, though, is that they have to have every year of the Libertad. There are serious Libertad collectors out there, probably one of the most collected coins in the world. So if you have to have it, you have to have it. But otherwise, I would say stay far, far away from it. The number 3 coin to stay away from is the 1986 Statue of Liberty silver dollar. It was a commemorative coin issued for the Statue of Liberty's centennial. So why would you avoid it? Well, because it's basically just a modern commemorative coin, and it's going to be highly marked up without, necessarily being able to hold that value over time. It's only 0.7734 troy ounces of 90% silver, so it really doesn't justify the premium when compared to generic bullion. It costs about $35. If you have to have it, again, you have to have it, but definitely not great for building a stack or even, in my opinion, an investment piece. Number 2 to avoid as we get close to number 1. Let me first say, take a minute to go in the description. First link you'll find is our newsletter. Click on that. We send out a weekly newsletter of all of our videos, every piece of news in the silver, gold, platinum, etc. Stacking communities, and it's just a really fun thing to look over weekly. That's down in the description section, very first link. But the number 2 to avoid is the cleaned walking Liberty half dollar, 1940s dates, So it's a stunning design, and it was minted from 1916 to 1947. But the reason to avoid this is because cleaning a coin strips away the natural patina, and it drastically reduces the numismatic value and often leaves it pretty scratched. If you send a cleaned coin off to get graded, they won't even grade it, and they'll just mark it as ungradable, has been cleaned. That is a not good way to get a coin back when you send it off to get graded. So for around $15, you can get a clean circulated example. If you're seriously collecting a coin, you're not going to want a clean version of this, much less a clean version of any coin, which I would go ahead and bulk in there of the number 2 coins to avoid is any cleaned coin. And the number 1 coin to avoid, and this is so much more prevalent than probably anyone believes, is a counterfeit Morgan silver dollar. So many of these designs exist out there, and they're often produced in China. You can find them on eBay. You can find them on Temu. You can find them on auction sites. It is ridiculous how many fake Morgan dollars are out there. We even did a video where we showed examples of these fake coins, and they really do look similar to the real thing, but to the trained eye, you can tell a difference. And even more importantly, with the right tools, you can really verify its authenticity. But obviously, that's why you want to avoid it, is because they're freaking frauds. And you might pay 20 to 30 bucks for it thinking it's real, but its actual value is really near zero. So those are the 11 coins that I think you should avoid this year, whether you're silver stacking or silver collecting. And, let me know what you think in the comments about what coins should be avoided, because I always want to learn more and know what everyone out there thinks. Again, thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, you know the drill. I'm Nose for Silver. I'll see you tomorrow with more silver on the table.